start recording. And then, I think this could be slightly expanded. There we go. And then let's do attendance. Oops. Let's not disconnect from the projector. It took me so long to connect to it. So please tell me that you're here. And then we can begin. So the topic of today is social media, and then we'll also talk about Python as well. We get 2 days of Python this week. That's exciting. So yeah, let's get right on into it and talk about issues with social media. Very similar topics to what we've been discussing previously, but we're going to focus on social media this time because I'm sure a lot of us, if not all of us, have some sort of social media account somewhere, right? And I guess the moral of this story is so many things are made public and we don't really know it. So many things are public, for better or worse. So we'll talk about things like issues affecting social media today. I'll try and answer that question. And then I guess the goal, right, of a class like this that is about critical thinking is that we would like to be able to view social media under the lens that we are viewing other topics in this class. We want to be able to use it well, make more informed decisions as we make our accounts, as we change the privacy settings on them, maybe. So I guess that is what we're going to try to get across to you. So I have a few stories. Let's talk about them. So the first thing that might happen if you have a social media account and you're on the job market, employers are allowed to Google your name, right? That is totally a thing. If you Google my name, you will find my research publications. You will find some other person. There's one other person in the country apparently with my name, and they have a Twitter account, which bothers me. So you'll see that too. But yeah, anybody can search for you, and a lot of the time your accounts on social media will come up. And that didn't used to be a thing, right? Before the internet, before every computer becoming interconnected was a thing, that wasn't really possible. You can't, like, Google somebody, can't go and look them up in the library and know everything about them. Also, once you have a job, I guess I'm kind of going out of order here, when you're at work, whatever you do on a computer can be monitored. Like this laptop that I'm using is from the school, so I'm not going to do any personal stuff on it because who knows what they installed on it, right? So at work, whatever you do can be monitored. Like they could, if they wanted to, track all of my key presses. You can install a program that does that. And this, of course, was not at all possible before computers. Like if your boss wasn't around before computers, they didn't know what you were doing. They just hoped that you were doing what they asked, right? But when computers come into play, they can see like, oh, have you moved your mouse in the last 5 minutes? Oh, maybe if you didn't, that means you're not working, right? So that's a thing. So, yeah, that is totally possible. Like people can look at your screen. They have access to it. What else did I want to say here on the side? Let me zoom in on my notes here because I don't remember what I wrote here. Yeah, they can track all the stuff you type on the keyboard. There are programs that can do that, and just make sure, like, here's you at your computer, the window open and a mouse moving, they can watch it move, okay? So that's kind of scary. Maybe we should have a debate about that, but we'll save that for later. Here are some examples from the textbook about employers monitoring you either, I guess, after you had a job. So apparently, a school district fired a teacher because there was a photo of her on social media that was public of her drinking in a bar, which seems really odd to me. I don't really know if we're getting the full story out of that, but this is a totally legal thing to do, right? I'm sure the teacher was of age, and that's crazy. But maybe the parents complain like, oh, we shouldn't have pictures of our teachers doing those things on the internet. Don't know what happened there, but that got somebody fired. Crazy. Similarly, this is a funnier story, I guess. A sheriff, I guess the head person, fired a deputy sheriff, which is the person below the sheriff, I assume, for liking a Facebook page of the person running against that sheriff in the next election. So that's crazy. I guess it makes sense, because obviously that deputy sheriff didn't like the sheriff that much, if that was the case, and has a right to fire him. But is that grounds for doing it, I guess? This was free speech, wasn't it? Liking a Facebook page? Is that not protected? Interesting. I can find another reason to fire you, maybe, but that caused the issue. So people can watch you. Be afraid. Do we have any comments or thoughts about this? Before I switch gears into something slightly different. It's just weird to think about. So I'm getting you to start considering all the possibilities. Here's another thing. I'm sure you've seen posts like this on Facebook or another social media app. Usually it's older people, I don't know why, that post this kind of stuff. Like, Facebook does not have my permission to share photos or messages. And that post, you doing that, does nothing at all, right? Because Facebook gets that permission from you. They are allowed to mine all the stuff in your messages and your photos just because you have an account. Remember that thing nobody reads? The terms and conditions? Or terms of service? That allows this. You agreed by making a Facebook account. They have access to your photos, to your messages, and things like that. Okay? So, yeah, that is something we'll explore in a few minutes. But I want to get you thinking about that. Yeah, read the terms of service, maybe, because weird things are allowed to happen. Another thing, I like to use Duolingo. I like learning languages. You see that this computer is in Spanish, right? Duolingo used to not have ads. They now make their money completely through ads, but they used to not have to do that, right? They didn't care about tracking people, giving them nice ads or things like that. What they used to do was sell translations. So they would have little articles on their website, and you could click as a language learner to translate those articles into your native language from the language that you're trying to learn. And so, I don't know, you pick an article that you like, you translate it into English, and then the way that Duolingo made money was they had a bunch of language learners try to translate that same article, and whenever the pieces matched up, like enough people said, oh yes, this is the correct translation, and they all agreed, then they sold that translation to somebody who wanted it. So that was a cool way to make money. But I guess it didn't scale for very long. So now they make money through ads, which would involve trying to give you the best possible ads. And I guess Duolingo is a social media app. I follow people on it. So, yeah, ads now kind of ruin privacy in a little bit, right? In certain ways, because you kind of have to infringe on your privacy to show you good ads, to show you things that you might want to buy. Yes? So let's keep going there. Let's keep talking about ads, because there are a lot of places on the internet that like to show you those ads. For example, Google. You might not have considered this before, but Google does not make their money from you using their search engine at all, right? That is just a service that they provide for you so that they can show you more ads. Google is an ad company, not a search company. And so I want you to think about that the next time you search something on Google, right? The vast majority of their revenue, I'm talking in like the 90% probably, comes from selling ads to people. And so they show you those first, hope that you'll click on them, and then the people who bought that ad space give Google money for those clicks, okay? And so the idea is, right, if Google wants to make money, and they're a corporation and they do, they need people to click on those ads, because that's how they get money. And so I want you to be thinking now, like, what does that mean for you when I use Google, when I use Duolingo? Because here are some ideas that I had before. They're going to put those ads at the top and hope that you'll click on them, and anybody could buy an ad, right? So maybe you end up seeing worse results at the top of the page, unfortunately. You might, and that kind of brings down the experience, and you might not even know that. You might end up seeing worse results. At the top of the page. Dot, dot, dot. So you're seeing what Google wants you to see, not the best result, perhaps. And there's more places that you can go with that idea, and I encourage you to think about it. There is the flip side to this, like Google makes Android, the Android operating system, and Apple makes iOS and iPhones and things. They're kind of the other side of this coin. Apple's really big on privacy, right? You remember that idea? Have you heard of that before? At least more than Google, at least. So Apple makes the bulk of their money not by selling ads, but by selling hardware. So because of where they're getting their money, it makes more sense for Apple to care about your privacy, right? Because they don't need it. They don't need to track you to give you cool ads. They just want to make a nice device that you will eventually buy. Okay? So I guess that's why I have an iPhone rather than an Android phone. So when in doubt, this is my moral for you for this slide. Follow the money behind a company. How are they making their money? And what does that mean for you as the consumer of that free thing on the internet? It's not free, is it? So any ideas about that? Any comments? Any questions? Have we heard this before, maybe? Still strange. And let's continue on that line of thought, because most things that we have, like we're broke college students, right? We use things on the internet that are made for us for free, right? All these things, all these apps. And the issue is when a service is free and we're not paying for it, that means we're not the target of that service. We are the product being sold to somebody else to make the money for the person who's giving us that thing for free. Okay? That is the key. So all of your information, your search history, all that stuff on those free things that you're using, all those websites that you're making free accounts on, those are being captured and sold to other people. That data is valuable, I guess, because you can be given better ads and things like that. So all this stuff, all this tracking and saving of things is allowed because you agreed to it. Maybe you didn't know that you agreed to them. It's all hidden away in that terms of service, which nobody ever reads. I don't. So I'm going to introduce you to a very nice website. It's called tosdr.org. It's kind of like a pun on the phrase TLDR, like too long didn't read. This is terms of service didn't read.org, and it kind of gives you a shortened version of what is being said inside of the terms of service for a certain site. So please go to this website, tosdr.org, and let's take a look. We're going to have an activity on the next slide, but let me go through it with you. So all of these websites that are very popular have been graded. So Facebook gets probably the worst grade E, so does Amazon, Reddit. Wikipedia has a B. Ooh, that's nice. DuckDuckGo is a search engine that tries to care a lot about privacy. They have grade A, which is nice. That's good. All of these places that we may have been to before, even Apple, have grades regarding the terms of service for whatever this thing is. Okay, so let's look at Facebook or let's not look at Facebook because I'm going to give you an activity on the first 8 of these. Let's scroll down here to like Spotify or something. And so you can click on this to see more information. These people are kind of summarizing the terms of service for something and then telling you more about it. So for Spotify, for example, it has a privacy grade E because it's allowed to delete specific content without reason and may do it without prior notice. That kind of sucks. You waive your moral rights. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds scary. Who knows what that means? The service can license user content to third parties. Oh no. Your account can be deleted without prior notice. That's not nice. This service may use your personal information for marketing purposes. Oh, yeah, that's hidden away in the terms of service. You can't sue them. You waive your right to a class action. There are other things that are good, like it provides a free help desk, and they weigh all of these things. These are all hidden away. And I guess maybe gray means neutral, like neither good nor bad information. Gives no guarantee regarding quality. I guess that's a standard sentence to add so that you won't get sued. Okay, so this is what the website looks like. I hope you're there now. And I'm going to give you an activity to do in peer instruction groups. So on that website, Terms of Service Didn't Read, please go there with your peer instruction group. And what I'd like you to do is, here's how I'm going to have you analyze a certain service. Let us consider only the first 8 services. So your group is either going to look at Facebook, Amazon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to Quora. So those are the services that you might be looking at. And as a group, just one person, just go to Google and search for a random number between 1 and 8. And whatever it gives you back is the service that you will analyze in your group. Okay? So service 5 for my hypothetical group would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like I'm doing DuckDuckGo. Okay? And then you'll click on that service and read about this stuff, discuss it as a group. And what I'd like you to do is go to the our Google Doc, the written ICE page of the class, and write down, try to write down 2 things. I'll clear it out. 2 things that you learned about that service or website that you didn't know before. What was hidden away that we didn't see before? What have we just learned about? So it can be good or bad, it doesn't matter. Maybe you got DuckDuckGo and everything's good. Try and explain why it's good or bad, like it's good for our privacy, bad for our privacy. But I just want to give you a chance to actually read the terms of service for something that you may be using and analyze it. So I'll give you plenty of time for this. Go forth and explore something. And write down what you learned. Be like 6 or 7 minutes. All right, about 2 more minutes, guys. All right. Is that enough time to have a good discussion? I hope. Well, that was fun, learning all these things. All right, before we look at the Google Doc, I looked up and someone in the back showed me first what the definition of moral rights is. I've also heard a bunch of other people talking about it, so in case you want to know, moral rights are the ability of authors to control the eventual fate of their works. So the second you write a tweet, you don't get to control it anymore. Anybody can print it, something like that. You cannot control your work. It is owned by Twitter now or something. So that's what moral rights are. That's fun. So yeah, was any group very interested in talking about something that they noticed? Anything very cool that they found? Yeah, what do you want to talk about? On which website? Oh, so we can't sue them for giving us knowledge? Great, just to squeeze out a little bit more money once they go under. Good to know. Very nice. Anybody else? I can just start reading them otherwise. Yeah. And that's just part of their service terms? Like, will they cancel your account if you don't, maybe? Huh. That's horrible. That's no fun. Some people want to be private on the internet. They don't want to use their real name. But looks like they're being forced to. Very nice. Anybody else found something crazy that they would like to share? All right, let's take a look at a couple of these. Group 20 did YouTube. Fancy. Let's see what's wrong with YouTube. They can use content that you post on any other services they have or will make in the future. So I wonder if that goes back to Google itself, because Google owns YouTube, right? So anything, like any part of Google can use your comments that you wrote on YouTube. Something like that, maybe. That's weird. They can use it in future ads, like, oh, this person said this. That's crazy. Not allowing users to submit libelous, harassing, or threatening content keeps their users safe. That's good to have in the terms of service. It's not all bad. And this, like, having this quote in the terms of service makes it very easy for them to point at somebody and be like, oh, you have disobeyed the terms of service. This is why we're terminating your account. And that helps if they get sued by this person. Maybe they're very rich, but they're also very angry. That is going to hold up in court, potentially. So that's why they write all these things. It's a lot of legalese. Let's see, Reddit. We all love Reddit, so what happens there? This service employs a broad copyright license over user content, including the right to distribute through any media. Interesting. So yeah, they own the content. Once you type something on Reddit, it goes on their servers, it's not yours anymore. That seems like it's a common thing in a lot of websites. Wikipedia had a B grade. Let's see what's wrong with it. They have a reduced time window to take legal action. I guess that's fine. Like, you don't want somebody, like, with something, if something goes wrong on Wikipedia, you shouldn't be able to sue them 10 years later for that thing. I guess that kind of makes enough sense. Like, a lawyer wrote that. What else? Can we word wrap this? Format, repping, or rep. Your account can also be deleted for no reason. That's no fun. And if you're permanently banned, you will not be able to create a new account. I wonder how they track that, but that sounds interesting. At least on Wikipedia, you're allowed to use a pseudonym. You don't have to use your real name. That's a plus. Go Wikipedia. Down with Facebook. Resists legal requests for user information where possible. That's very promising. Even though they're like a U.S. company, right? They're trying to stick up for people who are asking, like, oh, who edited this account? I don't like this information. Please tell me. They're going to be like, no, sue me if you want that information. That's nice of them. So yeah, takes your data but does not just give it away. pretty decent, so they got a B, Wikipedia. So not everything is bad. I like this. So I'm glad we had a chance to go over all these websites. I hope you learned something new. Are there any comments before I move on? That was a fun little activity. So let us go back to this, and then I think I have one more slide, and then I want to talk about Python for the rest of the day. So one thing that kind of came up in the terms of service is bad stuff can happen on social media. People can say horrible things, and that is wrong. That is unfortunate. That maybe shouldn't be allowed, but it is free speech. Who knows? There is a huge gray area there. So a lot of places, a lot of websites, they make it so that you are not allowed to, or you should not be allowed to write, post hate speech, speech that incites violence, lies coming from like somebody very important, things like that. All of these things you don't want on social media, but they're very, very hard to censor. Think of Twitter, for example. Like, Twitter is getting, I don't know, probably at least several thousand tweets a second, right? Maybe 100,000 tweets a second, maybe more. I'm not sure. But it's really hard to censor all that information at once, okay? You can't even use a human for it. So let's notice that. It's very hard to just sort through tons of posts because, like, you're trying to look for all the bad stuff. To find all the bad stuff. You cannot do that, and so sometimes this is automated, and if enough people like report something, then a human goes and looks at it. There are ways that this is done, but there's no great solution yet because of the tons of data that exists on the internet. And so a lot of things that made people angry, for example, were Trump tweets before his account was banned. Like, here is a tweet that is kind of clearly inciting violence, right? And we don't want that. We don't want that on a place that people can see. And same with the last election. Facebook decided to ban new political advertisements from its platform, from Facebook. So it wasn't letting political ads be sold for U.S. people to see, okay? Because they were about to vote. And that's either a good thing or a bad thing. Like, they used to not block it. Free speech, right? But then they decided to block it, and then depending on how you think whether this should be done or not, that is something that people were conflicted about. Yeah. So censorship is hard. It's not easy, and sometimes it has to be done. Sometimes maybe it shouldn't. Who knows? We can have this debate all day long, but this is what happens. Any questions about that? Yeah.
You kind of made a point how like there's so much data, it's kind of like almost impossible to censor. What about like stuff in other languages? Like if this is all targeted, like let's just say English, for example.
Great point. Yeah.
Like in other countries, like our moderation has absolutely like they're not even checking what other languages are saying in their tweets or in their like Facebook groups.
Very true.
Is that just kind of the next level, like I guess later on?
That is probably the next step. There are, going back to automation, because usually it's an automated process, there are ways to take sentences and parse whether or not, like, it's called sentiment analysis, to parse the sentiment of that sentence. Like, was it angry? Was it sad? Things like that. And so maybe that will help flag for humans to go and look at it later, or just immediately block these keywords, things like that. That's all easy to program, and depending on if the language is popular enough, I'm sure that exists for other popular languages, but that's a great point that it probably doesn't exist for like some very obscure language that's not spoken by a lot of people. Yeah. Any other comments, questions about this stuff? All right, so that's enough sad things about the internet for one day. Let's talk about Python. Let us open up our idle program. Boop. And I just want to teach you about GoTo for your next assignment, and that'll be that. That is all that I have for us today, so there should be plenty of time to work on your next programming assignment today. After this, let's see, where do I want to go? So I need to open up Python Turtle documentation so that we can look at it. And what else? Let's make a new file for the day. I'm going to eventually need to make a new folder as well. But yeah, hopefully idle is still installed on your computer, so you know how to install it. If it's not, I want to teach you about how to just turn those corners a lot easier, like without having to do trig. Because maybe one day you want to draw a very weird triangle where, like, you know where the points line up, but like these angles are all different and they're really hard to figure out, and same with the length. And we don't want to use weird laws that we barely remember from geometry. So let me show you how to do that. This will help you on your assignment. You can just use the coordinate system to your advantage. Remember the coordinate system, okay? We weren't really thinking about it before last time. So the new command that I want to teach you is GoTo. Okay, it's called GoTo, and let's go look at it in the documentation. Where is it? There it is. So in addition to going like forward and backward and turning, you can GoTo or set pause or set position. Those are all equivalent words. They do the same thing. You say turtle.goto or turtle.setPause to some coordinate. In parentheses, you give those two things, that coordinate that you want to move to. And then the turtle goes there. Doesn't even matter the way he's facing. Like, he's just going to drag himself straight there in a straight line. So that is useful for us. Okay? So you can have the turtle always facing up and just moving around to whatever coordinates you ask him to move to using GoTo or set pause or set position. I think I'll just call it GoTo. So, yeah, let's remember what happens when we make a turtle program. The turtle begins his life in the middle of the window, right? The window gets made, and the turtle shows up facing east at 0, 0. There is always an underlying coordinate system. And remember that we can print out the coordinates. Like, where is the turtle right now if you ever get lost? Like, you can say print turtle.pause. That just gets the position. We can also set it. So let's get up to there. That's something that we did last time, but it's good to remember. Remember not to name your file turtle.py, otherwise it won't work. Then it overwrites the turtle library, kind of. So let's save this as a blank file in the appropriate folder so that you can have this later. I assume it's lecture 15, right? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, today's lecture 15. So let's save this as, I don't know, I'll call it goto.py. So if I want to use the turtle library, I have to import turtle. And I would like my turtle to always be a turtle, so turtle.shape, right? Shape turtle as a string, could be single or double quotes, Python does not care. And then you can always print where the turtle is. Print the position of the turtle or turtle.pause, because that gives back the position ready to be printed. So if I run this, turtle starts facing east, middle of the screen, which is in the coordinate system 0, 0. Okay? So any questions about that idea? Just like there is underlying this window a coordinate system. There's axes, and like up here is positive x, positive y. Down here is negative x, negative y, and so on and so forth. You got your quadrants and things like that. So let's use that to our advantage. So instead of saying forward and back and changing the heading and things, you can just say GoTo. Hint for your programming assignment. You can just say GoTo to move the turtle to that coordinate that you want to move to. Okay? That's all that you need to do. You can use turtle.gotoxy, turtle.setPauseXy, or turtle.setPositionXy. Those are all the same as far as Python is concerned. Okay? So let's try that, and then I'll talk about this idea of enclosing something in a rectangle, because that's going to give us a hint as to how to draw our characters. Okay? So, yeah, let me just say go to somewhere to give you an example of it. So, turtle.go to, I don't know, 150. So x 100, y 50. So it's a little up and a little to the right. Yeah? There he goes. And so notice that his direction doesn't matter anymore if you're using GoTo. He's just always facing east. And he's drawing still. He's just kind of sliding on ice or something, you can think of it as. But that's GoTo. And it's going to be powerful. If you can think of what coordinates you want to move to, you don't have to mess with angles or things. Angles or distances. Okay? As long as you pre-plan your coordinates. So this should definitely help you on your programming assignment. So here is my hint for you. To come up with those coordinates, it would be nice, a good way of doing it is to imagine that the characters you want to draw are enclosed in a rectangle. Because then you can worry about the bounds of that rectangle and then where inside of it things should be. So let's say that I want to draw ln. Again, what you can do is, that's supposed to be a straight line, sorry. What you can do is imagine that the characters you want to draw are enclosed in a little rectangle. So there's a rectangle around that one, here's a rectangle around this one, and that will tell you like what you can do. So then you can worry about the coordinates. Like, okay, I can start at this coordinate, I can pick whatever this should be, x1, y1, and then I can just go to this one, x2, y2. And once you draw the rectangle and you pick a width and height, this should be easy, right? And then for this one, I can go to, after I've been there, go to x3, y3. Yeah? That's not bad. And I can pick these coordinates. Like, okay, I know what the width should be, I know what the height should be. I can just move in this order to those coordinates, and I don't have to worry about calculating angles. That's not nice? So let me show you this for my initials. And that's about it. So, let's pre-plan this. Here's what I would like to do. I'd like to draw my initials LN, and they were, what? Height, something. Yeah. They were, I think it was 125 wide and 200 tall. Something like that. And let's do that. Trying to draw the straightest lines I can here. So let's just plan out these coordinates. Because secretly there's an axis here. There's your 0, 0. And let's try and make this happen. Let's say we kind of want this centered. This could be our, like, what do I want it to be? This could be our y equals 0 line. And then I kind of want to center this around it somewhere. Okay? So, what do I want to do? Maybe I want like 0, 0 in the middle here. Let's just pick some spots. I want to go, like, I want the height of this to be 200 from last time. So if I want this centered around y equals 0, this better be y equals 100. This better be y equals negative 100. So that's helpful. This is something y is 100. And then I just need to pick the x size. Like, how far to the left do I want this left side of the L to be? And I think the one that I picked was negative 200. So a little bit to the left of the middle, and please draw this. Okay, and then our rectangle is ready to be used because I wanted the width of all my characters to be 125, right? That tells me exactly where this coordinate should be. If I want it to be 125 wide by 200 tall, that means I just need to add to the x, 125. So it's going to be, what, negative 75? Negative 75, and still negative 100. So that's nice. As long as you pre-plan these, think about it, it shouldn't be too bad. And just to make it easier on us, let's pretend that the gap, I think it used to be 40 last time. is that'll make this coordinate to where the end starts. That'll make it negative 25, negative 100. Yeah. And again, if I want this to be 125 wide, that will make this coordinate, very easy to figure out, right? That will make it positive 100, right? Positive 100 on the x, still negative 100 on the y. Everything down here is negative 100 on the y. Everything up here is positive 100 on the y. So these coordinates are now whatever this was, but positive 100 for y. So negative 25, positive 100. So once you do all this work ahead of time, no angles involved, you can draw using GoTo. And then this is positive 100 and also positive 100. So I think that will give me my initials. Let's program this. So I need to, let's draw the L for example. Let's, I don't know, let's start up here. Just draw an L as we would with a pen. So let's draw in that way. So turtle dot go to negative 200, positive 100, and then I'll just copy and paste this a couple times because then we need to go from there, negative 200, negative 100, then negative 75, negative 100, and that should draw the L, right? Yes?
That's going to go from 0, 0 to negative 200. So when I draw a line.
Very good, yeah. I was just about to ask, this is wrong still. Did everybody notice? Everybody hear what was wrong? If I run this right now, it's going to draw the L, but it's going to do something else too. Ah. What was that? Oh, I think I got the coordinates wrong. Sorry, that was supposed to be negative 100. Let's retry. So it drew the L, but it also drew a line from 0, 0 to the starting point of that L. So I better pick up the tail of the turtle before I move there. Yeah? So turtle dot pen up or up, right? And then go to the first place. Then you're ready to start making marks. Turtle dot down. Good job noticing that. And now we have our L. Yay. And so we have to play that same game if we want to go over here to start the end. We got to go 50 over, right? We can draw the N as we would with a pen again. We need to get to this coordinate, but we don't want to make a mark getting there. Let's go over here now. So we need to get over here. This was the L. Now we need space. So turtle dot up. Go to the place where I want to start the N, down there on the left, negative 25, negative 100. And then we're ready to start drawing. Turtle that down. And that will give us time, place to start the N. Okay? So now the tail is down, ready to make marks again. And the turtle is sitting here, right? He's ready. Let me show you that. So he's ready. We just need to move him now. So we'll do turtle.goto. I'll just draw a couple of these because I'm going to be using a lot of them. 1, 2, 3, right? So we're down at the left. Let's go to the upper left, so negative 25, positive 100. And then I can move straight from here down to here. So go to 100, negative 100. And then finally up top, go to 100, 100. And that should do it. And I think we can all agree that that took much less time than worrying about trigonometry. So yeah, that's the other way. Yeah.
What if someone has curves in their initials?
Great question. So there is, and I don't require you to do this. You can just draw blocky characters if you'd like. There is a way to make an arc with the turtle. And that, I do believe, is circle. So you can draw a portion of a circle with the turtle.circle command. You can look at some of these as examples. Turtle.circle 120, 180. It gets a radius and then like how many, what angles that you want to use to draw it. So here, let me just show you that very quickly. You can draw semicircles this way, just like that. That's cool. And it depends on where the turtle is starting and his heading, like what part of the circle. Is it the right part of the circle, the top part, things like that. As long as you orient the turtle properly, he's going to start drawing a circle in that way, okay? So that's my hint for curved letters. If you'd like a challenge, play around with that turtle dot circle. All right. Yeah, because it draws the arc in a counterclockwise direction, given the starting heading of that turtle. All right. Any other questions? So I can give you this code actually on Discord right now because I have a question for you. I want you to take a couple minutes to try this out. Take 5 minutes or something to do this yourself. Go use GoTo, plan out some points, draw something cool, like draw a house or something. Do this. Boop, boop. And draw a little door and a window. Draw something like that. Pick all the points. Use GoTo, get some practice with it. And that's all I have for us today. So take some time to do this. I can help you as you work on it. And while you get started, I'll give you the code that I just wrote on Discord if you're interested in it. Yeah, take a few minutes for that. Draw a pretty picture. There you go. This makes you think about when you need to pick the turtle up. This is the location of that file. It's actually in a hidden folder. So C users. It's like there's an error. The red stuff means like you're on the turtle code, there was an issue. And it's saying there was an issue on this line, line 3. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no shaped name turtle. Turtle. So that was, it gave up. It didn't know how to do that line, so it didn't try this line. That's currently my timer. Feel free to keep on playing, but that is officially all that I have for us today. So stick around, make a pretty house still, work on another assignment, and I'll be here to answer your questions.